Most people agree that Terminator 2 Judgment Day should have been the last Terminator film, and for good reason. Cyberdyne Labs was destroyed, the chip and robotic arm from the original T 800 were incinerated, and the T 800 sacrificed his own life to ensure that Judgment Day never happens, the rise of Skynet, and the future war don't happen, thus allowing humanity to have a bright and safe future. Hence the phrase, there's no fate but what we make for ourselves. But you know, Hollywood doesn't want stories to end. While I do praise Terminator 3's ending of showing the nuclear holocaust, it makes the events of T2 and its fiends completely redundant, and the story felt like a mediocre rehash of said film. Terminator 4 or Salvation is the only post T2 sequel that at least tried to be something different, as it depicted the future war and the filmmakers had an idea of what they were doing this time around instead of rehashing the second one, which is currently the best post T2 sequel as many agree. However, it still failed to satisfy both fans and audiences. Terminator Genesis shit had no idea of what the fuck it wanted to be and felt like a trailer for a franchise that never happened. Dark Fate was a big middle finger to fans as they gave John Connor the Alien free treatment, as if making him the bad guy wasn't already insulting enough. The story was not only a rehash of T2, but also ripping off plot lines from prior installments, and don't even get me started on the T800 feeling remorse and pity for assassinating John Connor, which was a big fuck you to what had already been established in the very first film. Ripley finds that she has been in cryostatus for 57 years and learns that her daughter had grown up and died before she ever got a chance to see her again. Later, Ellen joins a group of Marines who must deal with a xenomorph infestation on a colony. While investigating, they come across a little girl named Newt, whom Ripley grows attached to and treats as her daughter, even going so far as to rescue her twice and tells the Xenomorph Queen to get away from her, you bitch, while wearing the power loader. With the Xenomorph Queen dead, our crew can safely return to Earth and live a happy life, ending Ripley's story, thus paving the way for spin-offs. But no, 20th Century Fox said, fuck character growth and fuck that happy ending. We can do whatever the hell we want. Alien 3 starts on a depressing note where Facehugger somehow got on board the ship and caused it to crash land on a prison planet, which should not be possible as the Xenomorph Queen's egg sac was destroyed. Newt, Hicks, and Bishop die in the crash, with Ripley being the only survivor, rendering her happy ending null and void. Ripley is such a useless character in Alien 3 that she shouldn't have been there in the first place, and don't get me started on the stupid reason as to why nobody uses weapons to try to hunt the dog Steno. Ripley commits suicide by jumping into molten iron to destroy the Xenomorph Queen embryo inside of her. Terminator 2 code, it wants its ending back, only for her to be reborn as a clone with xenomorph enhancements in Resurrection 200 years later. My fucking god, this poor woman can't catch a break. And Resurrection felt like a bad parody of Aliens, and don't get me started on the butt ugly as hell newborn. Then later, it got a mediocre crossover film with the Predator franchise, which later spawned the irredeemable and unwatchable AVP Requiem. The Alien prequels completely ruined the Alien lore and mythos by taking away everything that made the Xenomorphs mysterious. Alien Romulus was just a nostalgia-baited Aliens greatest hits film. And don't get me started on Alien Earth, which had a cameo of Sid the Sloth. There is just no hope of ever salvaging both the Alien and Predator franchises, as Hollywood just didn't know what to do with the both of them. And speaking of Predator, while some of you people can make the argument that Predator is a one and done film, I respectfully disagree with that statement, as Predator 2 is everything a sequel does right. Raise the stakes, up the ante, expand on the lore that the previous installment established, and avoid being a repeat of the original, and have a darker and edgier tone. Just like the last film, it started as a standard action film before it turned into a bloody and gory exploitation thriller flick. The government conspiracy subplot had meaning, and I loved how Peter Key said the Yautja have been coming to Earth for generations and attracted by heat and conflict for the thrill of the hunt, hence why King Willie said there is no stopping what can't be stopped. No killing what can't be killed, which perfectly describes the city hunter in a nutshell. But Harrigan later overcomes the odds and obstacles against him, finally defeating the Predator and having an encounter with the Lost Tribe, where the chieftain rewards him with a flintlock pistol from 1715 right before escaping from the mothership as it leaves Earth. Harrigan later walks away with a smile on his face and tells the government agents, "Don't worry, asshole, you'll get another chance." Right there should have given Fox the idea of making spin-offs, but like with the Alien franchise, they wasted that golden opportunity. As mentioned before, it later got a mediocre crossover film with the Alien franchise, which later spawned the irredeemable and unwatchable AVP Requiem. Predators was a film that had an amazing concept, but it was squandered by feeling like a mediocre rehash of the first film. The Predator was a complete mess of a film that had no fucking idea of what it wanted to be, ruining the Predator lore, being an insult to autism, having out of place comedy, and feeling like a 2-hour trailer for a franchise that didn't happen. Prey had a neat concept but crapped the bed with having an unlikable Mary Sue protagonist. I don't give a shit about the good reviews it keeps getting. Predator Badlands felt like a Marvel movie, like a Marvel wannabe movie with an ugly as hell deformed inbred Yautja. Overall, Hollywood wasted both the Alien and Predator franchises and should have just focused on making comic books, video games, animated films, and toys, as they had no clue of what to do with both IPs. The Ice Age franchise was all about Manny, who started as a grump, traumatized by the loss of his mate and child, but eventually makes friends and helps a human child find his way back to his family and forgives the human hunters who were responsible for the trauma they gave him. Ice Age 2 is where he thinks that he might be the last member of his species, but eventually finds new love where he meets Ellie. At first the two don't get along, but in the end they successfully manage to make amends and manage to survive the world-ending disaster. Ice Age 3 rolls around, where Ellie falls pregnant and Manny is excited to have a new daughter. But when Sid gets taken into the dinosaur world, it is now up to Manny and friends together with a new ally by the name of Buck Wild to rescue Sid. We even had an emotional moment of Manny having a nightmare of Ellie getting killed and realizing how much of a jerk he was to Sid. Later on, he goes to save Ellie from the Gualongs and to prevent history from repeating itself. Peaches is later born, and we finally get that shot of Manny, Ellie, Diego, Sid, the possums, and Peaches all together, signaling the end of the franchise. But because money talks, they made a part 4, which tried to blend the disaster movie vibe of the second film and the rule of fun from the third film, but ultimately failed. Part 5 was an incoherent and unfunny mess of epic proportions with zero identity of what it wanted to be. So you'd think that they'd go with the idea of making a Buckwild spin-off show a la Oh Hell King Julian and taking place in the dinosaur world, but they fucked it up. And they dare to make an Ice Age 6? Can you see why Part 3 is where the franchise should have ended? Because there was not a whole lot you could do with Ice Age. Indeed, Toy Story 3 is where the Toy Story franchise ends, as Andy has grown up, retired from playing with toys and gone to college. Not to mention Woody and the gang had just gone through the most intense moment of their lives and went through hell at Sunnyside under Lotso. It was heartwarming to see Andy give his toys to Bonnie as Andy departs for college and Bonnie promises to look after him. Plus, the toys finally have a new owner. And I loved the shorts and TV specials that served as a where are they now scenario. But the sequel comes along and pulls a Blues Brothers 2000 on us as Bonnie carelessly loses Woody. The plot is a blatant copy and paste of Toy Story 2, with the only difference being Woody abandoning his friends. Buzz has been flanderized into a complete idiot. Bebop became an unlikable girl boss character. The themes from the previous 3 films are ignored, and Gabby Gabby is a character who I refuse to sympathize for. I have no idea why Pixar greenlit the sequel, thought it was a good idea, nor why they wanted to make a Toy Story 5.